Welcome back to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. Today I want to talk about the allegations that there's a lot of stuff going on with children and agencies, specifically the CIA. So Victor had mentioned this in previous episodes, and I hadn't looked it up. So now I've looked it up, and I'm going to bring you the story so that when I refer to it in future episodes, I'm not just talking nonsense. So basically, the story is this: there's a lot of cases of people abusing children and looking at CP and stuff like that. And some of them even admit it in the lie detector test to prove that they're not lying about other things in order to get the job or in order to keep the job if it's at a later time they're being polygraph tested, not realizing that of course it's criminal. And then they wipe their hard drives and stuff once they realize what's going on. But basically the prosecutors won't take these cases because or the judges won't let the cases go through because a lot of times they say that they're protecting sources and methods, and they'll send it back to the CIA to handle. And then we don't even have the names of these people. We don't know their names. We know the stories because BuzzFeed has done all these different FOIA requests and got these redacted documents, which takes us to this BuzzFeed's article. They did actually really good on this. So this is from, you see right here, this is from 2021. And it's talking about the prior 14 years. It goes back to 2004. I don't know why they say 14 years. But anyways, it's linked below as well. It's called Secret CIA Files Say Staffers Committed Certain Types of Crimes Involving Children. Declassified CIA Inspector General reports show a pattern of abuse and a repeated decision by federal prosecutors not to hold agency personnel accountable. So that I don't bury the lead, let me come down here. This is the quote that Victor said right here. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of CPIC is just unbelievable. And that's what Victor had mentioned in a previous episode. So this is a really long story. I'm not going to do the entire thing because you can go read it yourself, but I'm going to do the main parts of it and give you the gist of it. It's got a lot of other stuff in here about people, like abusing the system to search for some guy or to, steal money and stuff like that. But we're really just focused on the stuff with the children. Over the past 14 years, the CIA has secretly amassed credible evidence that at least 10 of its employees and contractors committed certain types of crimes involving children. Though most of these cases were referred to U.S. attorneys for prosecution, only one of the individuals was ever charged with the crime. So this is by our legal system. Whatever the CIA did in the back, whether they let him go, fired him, this and that. And fired him's not enough for some of this stuff. Like when we're talking about 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, stuff like that. 2-year-olds, one of the story is. Prosecutors sent the rest of the cases back to the CIA to handle internally, meaning few face any consequences beyond the possible loss of their jobs and security clearances. That marks a striking deviation from how these types of crimes involving children have been handled at other federal agencies such as DOH and the DEA. CIA insiders say the agency resists prosecution of its staff for fear the cases will reveal state secrets, which is nonsense because they don't have to reveal state secrets. Later in the article, they're going to say, what if they involuntarily reveal sources and methods? Nonsense. Because okay, I'm sorry, it's not a credible claim that's so. Basically, like I said, BuzzFeed required these through FOIA requests. And here's just a summary of some of the stuff. One employee had a certain type of contact with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was fired. A second employee purchased 3 certain type of explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. A third employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 these type of abusive images of children while on agency assignments. The records do not say what action, if any, the CIA took against him. A contractor who arranged for relations with an undercover FBI agent posing as a child has had his contract revoked. Now, these are just some examples. They go into detail, like show the documents below. So only one has been charged with the crime. And it's interesting that he's also a WikiLeaks guy. And he ends up getting 40 years in prison. Spoiler, the only one that got charged with the crime had leaked information to WikiLeaks. Everybody else just got off scot-free. And these are only the 11 cases that we know about from the FOIA request, which you'll see that the CIA resists giving any information, and then they start negotiating what information they're going to give you. So, that's what they're saying. In this case, he was under investigation for mishandled classified material. As of the writing of this in 2021, he was under prosecution for it, and then he got 40 years in prison since the publication of this article. The CIA did not answer detailed questions, saying only that, quote, the agency, quote, takes all allegations of possible criminal misconduct committed by personnel seriously, end quote. Nah, not really. And then a spokesperson for the Eastern District of Virginia, because we're talking about Langley here, where many of criminal referrals were sent, also did not answer detailed questions, saying that the district, quote, takes seriously its responsibility to hold accountable federal government employees who violate federal law within our jurisdiction, end quote. False. Also false. Just trash. Okay, 4 former officials told BuzzFeed that there's different reasons why they might not pursue a criminal case. One of them, familiar with the workings of the CIA's officer of the Inspector General, said that the agency is concerned that in a criminal case, it would lose control of sensitive information. The former official who reviewed the declassified Inspector General reports characterized the concerns from the CIA lawyer as, quote, we can't have these people testify. They may inadvertently be forced to disclose sources and methods. I'm sorry, they're CIA people. I'm not a fool. If I was testifying, I wouldn't reveal sources and methods. I would say I got to confer with my attorney or just whatever, you know? And these are CIA people, so they're trained. Even if you're just a contractor and you work with the CIA, I'm sorry. It's not a plausible excuse. Okay, so these certain types of crimes involving children, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the DoD acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. So this is unrelated to the 11 cases at the CIA, but this is related to that first quote I gave you at the beginning about them having it on their computers at the Pentagon. In 2014, the Inspector General of the IC of the Intelligence Committee found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child certain type of abuse during polygraph examinations. And we're going to see this with the CIA people just admitting this stuff. There's the quote I gave you. Going down, unprecedented release of reports by the CIA's Office of Inspector General. They did 13 public records requests. Here it goes down to how they did subsequent requests every year or certain years, and they just keep getting denied. And then it ended up, they had to negotiate what the CIA would actually release to them. Of course, they redacted a lot of it, but the reports are here. Some of them, some of these links don't work anymore, like they've been removed from the internet, but some of them are embedded in the article, so you can still see those. They got 3,000 pages covering 2004 to 2019. Here's some minor stuff: gentlemen's club, billing irregularities, yard sale stuff. And here's stuff that the CIA does: torture detainees in the Zero Dark 30 movie, you know, Operation in Peru led to the death of missionaries, whatever. That's unrelated though. Okay, so then down here, the documents also reveal patterns of certain type of abuse cases. Okay, we know this. So, like, okay, the agency cites privacy reasons, national security, and a federal law that exempts the CIA from disclosing details about its operations. Okay, so if you're trying to use that as an excuse, then you're either saying that your operation involved you doing these things, therefore we, the CIA, can't tell you about those things because that was an operation. Oh, okay, what kind of operation? Let's look at these right here. Inappropriate, this type of activity with an unidentified 2-year-old girl. Was that in your operation? Admitting to having inappropriate, certain type of contact with the then 6-year-old on 2 separate occasions. Okay, so if you're using the excuse that privacy reasons, well, they couldn't find the little girl even though they had evidence of it happening. They couldn't find the little boy even though they had evidence of it happening. It's not national security related, and the federal law that exempts the CIA from disclosing details about its operation. This couldn't have been involved in the operation. It literally could have, but it shouldn't have been. And if it is, then we need to literally reveal the details of those operations. So that, I mean, not knowing the identities of the suspects is a hindrance in identifying these cases and why they were declined. Okay. Oh my gosh, they're going to cover this later, and they're going to say, well, there was the 2-year-old, the 6-year-old, and then there was one guy with a bunch of them from 8 to 16 years old. And they're like, well, we couldn't identify the children's ages for sure. I'm sorry, a 2-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an 8-year-old, you don't got to identify the ages. I'll give you that she was 11, you know, the 8-year-old, you know what I mean? Still, and then you're just like, well, we're not going to prosecute. If you commit a crime on video and then the body gets buried and you're just not going to get, you got the video of the crime being done, the actual abuse. I'm sorry, this is just ridiculous, infuriating. So, anyways, of the 10 that the Inspector General found that had committed certain type of crimes involving children, 5 were fired or resigned. 4 others were referred to a personnel board of the Office of Security, which investigates classified leaks and is responsible for the safety of CIA facilities. It's almost like you can do the thing. If you're in the CIA, you can do the thing with the children or just possess the material on your computer. And they're like, well, I mean, we can't really do too much to them because they could just leak a bunch of stuff. Even sources and methods, which you could just verbally leak. You don't even have to have documents on it. You could just be a whistleblower. And so then it's like the employees are blackmailing the CIA not to punish them for doing terrible things with child-related stuff because they're protecting their secrets. Okay. The outcome of one case is the 10th case, in which images were discovered on a CIA computer had been left unattended, is unknown. Why on earth is a CIA computer left unattended? I'm sorry. The employee to whom that device was assigned said he switched computers while he was overseas. He denied using it to view such material. Okay. 11th case, the Inspector General received a complaint in November 2016. The employee used a government computer to view child's certain type of abuse images. Although the investigators couldn't corroborate the allegation, they discovered that he had shown a, quote, consistent interest and pattern of redacted conversations involving certain type of activities between adults and minors. How concerning is that? A consistent interest and pattern of redacted conversations involving blank activities between adults and minors. Because if I had a hardware store and I had a cashier who had consistent interest and pattern of redacted conversations involving certain type of activities between adults and minors, I'm going to fire you from my hardware store as a cashier. Any position in the world. As a lawnmower, because I don't want to take you to residential houses, obviously, like if you're my lawnmower guy. And that they're in the government and in the Central Intelligence Agency. Amazing. Okay, so anyways, let's see. I want to go down farther to where they're talking about the polygraphs. Actually, no. Look at right here. The occupation or employer of the suspect does not factor into the evaluation of whether or not to prosecute. The spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Virginia said, quote, while we cannot comment on the reasons why specific cases were declined, we do take very seriously any allegation that our prosecutors declined a potential case based on an improper assessment of the relevant factors, end quote. False. Okay, let's go right below that. Now we're talking about the polygraphs. It appears that at least half of the certain type of abuse investigations originated with a confession. Documents do not spell out the circumstances surrounding those statements or whether they emerged during grueling full-scope polygraph examinations. They can probe every part of CIA employees and contractors' lives. During those screenings, one former intelligence official told BuzzFeed News, it is not uncommon for a candidate to admit unlawful behavior in order to prove that they aren't lying, only later to realize that their statement might have sunk their chance to work for the agency and even put them in legal jeopardy. Such statements are sent to the Inspector General, which then tries to collect evidence proving the crime occurred. But that gives the subject time to delete or destroy evidence, said the former official. I'm sorry. A lot of child words. Okay. If you go to a law enforcement official and you confess a crime and under a polygraph test, and I know the polygraph test is not admissible in court, but you confessed a crime to an official, because what if you said you had viewed 1,000 images and deleted them? Are they like, but we can't prosecute you? You admitted to a federal official that you viewed 1,000. Is that not good enough? Because all you're doing is we're looking at the credibility of the official and we're looking at you. And if you want to argue for that you're not credible, that's going to be your defense in court. Your argument is, I'm not a credible human being. Don't believe what I say when I'm really trying to get this CIA job. And then you got the CIA guy job whose job is just to find terrible people at these interviews. And he's testifying that's going to be one of the most credible people. He's looking for trash, That's what happened in January 2010 when a CIA contractor logged into a chat room using the agency IP address and solicited activities from an FBI agent posing as a child. The contractor acknowledged an obsession with child certain type of abuse images, but by the time the Inspector General obtained a search warrant and seized the man's computer, someone had, quote, removed the hard drives and thrown them away, end quote, according to reports. He's going to get off. He's not going to go to jail. So he solicited somebody who he believed to be underage, who was an undercover FBI agent posing as a child. But man, they know he's got an obsession with pictures of child abuse, but they just couldn't find him on his computer because he deleted them. It's a crime. Here's the exact crime. Look at this. And then they redact who the person is, of course. Solicit an undercover SA from the FBI in an online chat room and attempt to travel interstate for the purpose of having relations with what he believed to be an underage child. Another CIA employee signed an affidavit. He signed an affidavit admitting he used a government laptop to view photographs and videos of girls as young as 10 being abused by an older guy. Oh man, we couldn't convict him. We just couldn't do it. The court of East Virginia says we couldn't do it. He signed an affidavit admitting he did it. So he didn't just admit it to a federal officer. He signed it. We can't convict him. This guy didn't get convicted because he's not one of the of the 11 cases we're talking about. Only the whistleblower guy got convicted. The guy who signed the affidavit didn't get convicted. The guy who told the federal officer that he didn't get convicted. Okay. This same employee that we're just talking about acknowledged that he first began seeking certain type of behavior abuse images while he was in college and viewed as many as 1,400 while on assignment for the agency. Because I think they get him overseas where they can get him easier, without being traced as much. He told CIA investigators that he was, quote, truly sorry, end quote, but also said, quote, he did not understand that it was a violation of agency policy to access CP until he took the agency information security course, end quote. Nobody believes this. There's 0 people. He did not understand that it was a violation of agency policy. It's a criminal act. You just got to think, like, what if you were just like a regular cop, Okay, so what do you got to do? Well, just don't break the law. You can't break the law, right? You're a cop. And he's like, but I didn't know that looking at all this CP would be a violation of my job as a cop. It's a crime. What? It's a violation. If you're the hardware cashier, you're getting fired if you get convicted of this. But of course, he's not going to get convicted because this is nonsense, When the inspector general checked the man's computer, he had already deleted the images, whatever. A federal prosecutor declined to charge the man in favor of administrative action by the CIA. This is the affidavit guy, the federal prosecutor who promised you up above in this article that, they're really trying to get these people. Okay, but in several of these cases, prosecutors had plenty to go on. So these are the cases that they didn't have plenty to go on, where they had the affidavit signed by the guy who did the thing. Okay, during an investigation that ended in August 2009, an official with a security clearance acknowledged having certain type of contact with 2 girls ages 2 and 6 and downloading illicit images while working for the CIA. The inspector general started a broad inquiry and attempted to identify the victims. Again, I go back to, if he admitted to doing it, that you can't identify them, doesn't mean it's victim A and victim B. Because, again, if he had buried them, done these things, admitted to it, then buried them, but not say he had ended them, is it he just gets away with it? Is that what we're going with? Oh, if you work for the CIA. Okay. The investigators found that he had extensively downloaded abuse material, such as 63 videos of children between 8 and 16. The man regularly used government Wi-Fi to download the material. He distributed it to others and brought the photos back into the U.S. after he returned from a trip overseas. So these people just don't care. Like, it's government Wi-Fi, it's government computers, distributing it to others and bringing it. It's insane. Despite the admissions and the evidence that investigators found on these devices, prosecutors from the Eastern District of Virginia declined to take up a criminal case. They told the inspector general there were taint issues, a term that is sometimes used to refer to mishandled evidence. The attorneys also said that the girls in those videos had not been, quote, previously identified child CP victims, end quote, making it harder to prove that they were minors. So the girls in the videos, okay, so this is the same guy up here with the children. Okay, this is the same guy. And he's the guy with the 63 videos, okay, of children between 8 and 16. But because the 63 videos of the children to 8 and 16 hadn't previously been come across in CP videos, they were unable to prove that the girls, or the children, I don't know if they were all girls, I'm just assuming, that the children who were ages 8 to 16 were all underage. Have you seen an 8-year-old in your life? It is prepubescent. Oh my God. Okay. I don't even want to keep going. I mean, we're at the end anyways. Okay. Well, we'll keep going then, because this is the end right here. This is the guy that they are going to convict, because this is the guy who, is this him up here too? Okay, no, this is not him. Okay, so we're just going to go down here to this quick blurb right here. Well, the one guy they did bother to convict. In the other case, CIA software engineer Joshua Schulte was charged in 2018 with possession of child behavior abuse images as part of a much larger investigation into the largest leak of classified information in the agency's history. Known as Vault 7 and published by WikiLeaks, the trove of documents revealed secret tools that the CIA used to hack into computers. It was prosecuted under the Espionage Act. Schulte faces a separate trial on the child's certain abuse charges. He has pleaded not guilty. Okay, I just went and looked that up because I hadn't read it right when I was researching this. There was not a separate trial based on what I just looked up right now. They lumped it all in together, and he got espionage, he got this CP stuff, and then he got lying to the FBI. So, and he got 40 years for that. But here's the deal. So this guy right here, this is Joshua Schulte, okay? He is a leaker. He leaked a bunch of stuff. Maybe he should have, maybe he shouldn't have, maybe WikiLeaks should have censored it, maybe not. I don't know the exact details of this Vault 7 stuff, but he's the only one of all these people that I suspect didn't have any CP on his computer, right? Because if my channel gets taken down because there's CP on my computer, right? It's not mine, obviously, clearly. You know what I'm saying? That's what the government does when you're leaking to WikiLeaks. So this is the one guy, I'm going to say innocent. I'm just imagining. You know, there's also no documents here. You don't see any documents like this type of stuff that we saw with all the other ones. We also don't see, it's him signing an affidavit, him telling a federal officer, him failing or admitting it in a polygraph test, because all those people didn't get charges pressed against him. And I know this guy got charges pressed against him for something, but I'm sorry, I just don't believe that other stuff. The CP thing. If you're doing anything good in the world and then they're like, oh, there's CP on your computer, I don't buy it, honestly. So anyways, that's what I got for you. So I think it's good. I mean, this is infuriating, obviously. I don't know what to say. Anyways, so that's what I got. Now I can refer back to this if anybody ever says that this is not a thing. It's a real thing. And okay, so on Thursday's episode, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna try to do something new. But it's like I got this strike on the Holocaust Part 19 video on YouTube, and I wanna show you where it's at on it. But I want to go through and take the test like while we're filming, you know. And I want to try to find like what answer do they think we're going for, and what answer is the correct answer, and then answer incorrectly on purpose and see what their reasoning is for whether or not their answer is correct or incorrect, like objectively. I think it would be pretty interesting. Anyways, that's what I got for you. Hope to see you then.